Welcome to Smalltalk Daily for Wednesday, March 31st, 2010. This morning I wanted to go through a very basic thing in Smalltalk. A little while ago I went through equal and hash and how you had to kind of implement both of them if you implemented one or the other. I wanted to look at the difference between equal and double equal today. Let's take a couple of small examples to illustrate this. 5 equal 5. That should be true. Now, if I do an equal equal, that's also going to be true. Now, the difference between equal and double equal is exhibited here when I do the string comparison. So the string 5 equal to string 5, you would expect that to be true. This one, on the other hand, string 5 equal string 5, is going to be false. The reason for this is simple. Equal is doing a comparison, so it's doing a comparison of, in terms of things like strings, character by character. If it's something like numbers, it happens to be the case the small integers are identical objects, so there's only ever one 5 in the image. So that's why double equal turns out to be true. It's an artifact of the implementation of Smalltalk in VisualWorks and Object Studio. Whereas with strings, they're not the same object. There are two instances of the string 5 sitting right here and possibly more lying around elsewhere in the image. But point is, two separate images and two separate objects rather, and that's why they're not identical in terms of double equal. And you can also see this way. Let's do a browse, implementers of equal. And you'll find that there's a whole ton of implementers of equal, which makes perfect sense because if you're doing comparison of objects, that comparison is going to vary. A collection of objects, you have to do piece by piece comparison. If you have an object that has multiple instance variables, you might have to compare each instance variable. Your equivalence might vary depending on what kind of domain object you have, and it's quite common in your own domain objects to go ahead and implement your own equal and therefore your own hash to do the comparison. However, let's push that out of the way and do a browse of implementers of double equal. You'll find that there are 3. And the reason there's 3 is that we have to do comparisons of object and our prototype object, which is a stub object for doing things like proxy operations with OpenTalk or distributed Smalltalk. So you have them all, though, going to the same primitive to check in the VM, are these the same objects? So even though there are 3 implementations, there's really just one implementation down in the VM that says, are these two the same object? And it's either true or it's not. Whereas with comparison and equal, many implementations, because it varies depending on the objects in question. In some cases, it's going to be a simple default to the double equal test, which is the default for object, and that's why you typically want to re-implement this equal check in your own code if you have domain objects that need to do some kind of interesting comparison. So that's about it for today. Until next time, have fun with Smalltalk.